Good evening. My name is Scott Goldstein, founder and executive director of the DC teacher advocacy organization Empower Ed. Today I'm here to talk about the STAR rating system and why it's one of the biggest emergencies in our education system today. Since the ratings were released, I've been hearing an overwhelming demand from teachers to elevate this issue and how it's hurting their schools. Put simply, the STAR rating is exacerbating inequities in our city. Hardworking teachers, principals, and most importantly, our students across the city were hit by what felt like a ton of bricks by a corrosive label applied to their school this year, feeling a deep gulf between the label applied and what they know to be true of the school and of themselves. By using narrow, incomplete metrics to define schools, we get inaccurate results. We know the metrics are almost universally tied to poverty at present. The STAR rating tells us much more about who the school serves than how they serve them. As I recently read a book called Ghosts in the Schoolyard, Racism and School Closings on Chicago's South Side by Eve Ewing, I realized how problematic these metrics can be in answering the question, whose reality counts? Is it the reality of those who see indisputable numbers on a page? Or are schools what they are seen by the communities they serve that depend on them, centers of family, community support that these measures don't account for and for whom these measures are deeply biased? Furthermore, parents with the assistance of the rating system are using the ratings to self-segregate. A recent article on the pro-education reform site 74 Million reported referencing a Duke University study. In fact, a new study finds the increasing ubiquity of school quality ratings may be changing the complexion of whole neighborhoods and cities, deepening the divide between rich and poor areas. The reason? Information on school performance becomes widely available. The wealthy and well-educated flock to the areas with the highest school ratings. Meanwhile, families and schools with fewer resources are left in their wake. These rating systems don't empower families as much as they drive them apart and make it that much harder to close persistent achievement and opportunity gaps. Among people who study school ratings, there's simply no debate that summative school ratings exacerbate inequities. You'll hear that clearly tonight from one of the best people you could hear from in Jack Schneider. The only disagreement is truly among those for whom diversity and equity are secondary to individual choice. That's a dangerous disposition. While OSSE has argued that they were forced by the OSSE law to comply with a state report card, there was no requirement in that act to give a top-line summative score to schools. I'll skip over the next part. You have my testimony and all of the supporting material. But the state board can act and must act fast because the current trajectory is disempowering students, teachers, principals, and the community members that are working hardest to close our persisting gaps and, in fact, exacerbating inequalities in our city. So I urge you to do two things. Advise OSSE to add quality indicators to the report card, curricular strength and variety, family-school relationships, portfolio assessments, student, parent, and staff satisfaction, teacher turnover and teaching environment, and mental health, social-emotional support. But I also urge you not to view your important educational role in leadership in isolation. Housing and education and equity work hand in hand. If we don't remove the summative score, despite the data and research, we're complicit in making both of those worse in our city. Thank you.